Hello, girls, guys, or otherwise. This is Rich with your Christo-Pagan Sunday. We are going through part 4 of our Witchcraft in the Bible series. Uh, yeah, I was hoping that this was going to be like a 6-part series, might be a little bit longer. I have 15 other books. We're mainly going to be in the book of Isaiah, actually, exclusively in the book of Isaiah, because this is my list. It's hella long, only one-sided, but yeah, I want to give each verse the amount of research and thought process that it's due. Uh, so, as per usual, I do want to go through my little disclaimer or my little mission statement of this mini series. I want to reiterate that this series is in response to verses that are commonly used, geared towards us Christo-Pagans or the pagan community in general, saying that, you know, witchcraft is bad, this and that and the other. This is not a critique on the Bible, and uh, it is, it's, this is not a critique of the Bible or its ability to be used as a sacred text. Uh, these are also not criticisms of this deity in this mythos particular. I will be addressing that at the end of this series whenever I wrap it all up. As per usual, the Bible that I will be reading from is the New Catholic Answer Bible. It is a uh, New American Bible Revised Edition. Um, so you know where I'm getting my information from. Uh, like I said, we're going to be in the book of Isaiah, so if you want to follow along, feel free. We are starting, and I don't have enough room on this desk. I need a bigger desk, guys. Or I need a bigger desk, y'all. I want to try to. I'm consciously trying to, uh, demasculinize my verbiage, trying to be cognizant of that. So if I do slip up, feel free to call me out on it. Uh, mm, should I address it in this one? I think I might. Actually, no. I'm going to do a special video that's also going to come out on some comments that were left in last week's video. I think I'm going to do the response to those. Yeah, I think I'm going to do those in a video that's just a special edition video. So, yeah, I have things to say. Okay. Anyway, if you would like to follow along, go ahead and turn to Isaiah 2, verse 6. Grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your beverage, whatever it may be. Sit on back, relax, and maybe give you a little jelly cam for a second. There she is. It's bath time, apparently. So, there we go. Okay. So, 2 verse 6, Isaiah 2 verse 6 reads, "You have abandoned your people, the house of Jacob, because they are filled with diviners and soothsayers, like the Philistines, with foreigners they clasp hands." Okay. In this verse, we see a prophet, the prophet Isaiah, is thought to have been writing this, stating that since the house of Jacob is filled with diviners and soothsayers, they have abandoned their people. Again, with many of the verses, we are not told why this is a bad thing. The only thing we see that there is in correlation to the Philistines is this is supposed to equate bad. We don't actually have a reason why divining and soothsaying is bad. In fact, if Saul would have heeded the warnings of the Witch of Endor and the ghost that was brought forth of Samuel, he might have lived a hell of a lot longer. Just my hot take there. So there's no real correlation here between the soothsaying and diviners and the Philistines, except for apparently they're both bad. Um, they're basically saying, they're acting like Philistines. They're divining and they're soothsaying, and this is terrible. And you're you have abandoned your people because you're not holding them to the law and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But we're never actually told why um, witchcraft is bad. Um, and I have thoughts on that, and that's one of the thoughts that I'm going to address at the end of this series as well. So, this isn't really a valid verse because it says that it was abandoned due to divination. This doesn't make logical sense that these are mutually exclusive. Um, Saying that you have abandoned your people, the house of Jacob, uh, it can be for multiple reasons. It doesn't have to be because of divination, soothsaying, or anything like that. It can be because, well, they are pieces of garbage. That's it. We don't know why. We cannot ascertain why the the head of the house of Jacob has kind of abandoned his people. Excuse me. Using that as an excuse is kind of a cop out. That's like saying that, you know, uh, the the governor of a state uh, doesn't pay any attention to his state because, well, he got the votes, now he doesn't need anything else. It's like, okay, it's like a governor of a state saying, okay, I'm turning my back off of uh, I'm turning my back on the people of this state because they're doing tarot readings. That's not the reason you're turning your back on the state. You're turning your back on the state because you're a piece of garbage that doesn't hold the power, that is not harnessing the power that he has in office. Yeah, I mean the whole reasoning here. The point that I'm trying to make is the whole reasoning here just does not make any sense. That this would be the reason that a back was turned on these people. So I don't find this as a valid verse because it's a cop out. It really is. You're picking something frivolous to say why you're not paying any attention to your people, and that's a cop out. Come up with a good reason. Come back to me later on that. Um, Moving on, I want to make this kind of a short video. My videos have been tending to last a little bit longer, and I do want to just get to the point on some of these. Some of these I might spend a little bit more time on, but we are going to chapter 8, verse 19, which I got one more page. Okay, and this says, "And when they say to you, inquire of ghosts and soothsayers who chirp and mutter, should not a people inquire of their gods, consulting the dead on behalf of the living, for instruction and testimony? Surely those who speak like this are the ones for whom there is no dawn." Where are we going to? 22. He will pass through. He will pass through it hard pressed and hungry, and when hungry shall become enraged and curse king and gods. He will look upward and will gaze at the earth, but will see only distress and darkness, oppressive gloom, murky without light. Okay, I have thoughts on this. In this verse, let me read my prepared verse first, and then or my prepared statement first, and then I'll go off the rails then. In this verse, Isaiah is writing down a record for posterity's sake. We actually see that in verse 18. Let me go to that real quick. These stinking pages are not cooperating today. There we go. He says, "Here I am, and the children whom the Lord has given me. We are signs and portents in Israel from the Lord of hosts who dwells on Mount Zion." Um, it actually goes back to verse 16. It says, "Bind up my testimony seal, the instruction with my disciples," and then he goes into that. Okay, anyway, so he's actually um, having this written down as posterity, so he can be seen as a prophet. Whenever the prophecy is fulfilled, they're like, "Oh, okay, yes, he was a legitimate prophet." So that's why he's actually having this stuff written down. Um, in verse 19, he makes a strong claim that anyone who does these things are ones um, who there is no dawn. Let me read this again. Um, Surely those who speak like this are the ones for whom there is no dawn. Okay, these are strong words for a belief system that did not have a defined position of the afterlife. You have to remember that the Jewish community, the ancient Israelites, and even still today, the Jewish community does not have a solid basis for an afterlife. They don't know where you go when you die, and there's much debate on it, and it's not really fleshed out as to where you go, what happens, and you know, are you just sitting around waiting for a Messiah? Do you go to a waiting room? What happens? We don't know. And in this one, you make a pretty strong claim saying that there is no dawn. I mean, it is a strong claim, especially for ancient Israelites who did not have a concept of what happens in the afterlife, or an agreed upon uh, consensus, a consensus on what happens in the afterlife. Hell, even in the Christian community, there is not an agreed upon uh, view of what the afterlife is going to be like. Some think it's going to be, you sit in heaven and you just, are in the glory of God. Some think that you have jobs to do. Some think that, you're just at peace. Really, we don't know. So, yeah, there's a lot of debate on what happens in the afterlife. But making a claim here that there is no dawn for these people is a very strong claim. Yet again, we are only told not to do something with no actual reasoning as to why. In what way does this affect anything with regards to the Hebrew people or their daily life? If anything, consulting and heeding the warnings of a ghost would have probably saved Saul. Again, I go back to Saul. Still kind of miffed that Saul consulted a medium, the Witch of Endor, and still did not heed the warning, and yet still went off to die. No real reasoning for it. Trust your ghosts. Just saying. The next thing I want to do is go to chapter 19. I'm sorry, 19 verses 1 through 4. But yeah, hold on. Before we go there, um, they're making a lot of. I'm going back to this 8:19 through 22. In verse 21, they're saying that. Let's see. Let me read this over again. That people should not inquire of their gods, consulting with the dead on behalf of the living for instruction and testimony. Surely those who speak like this are the ones whom there is no dawn. They are saying in the following verses 21 and 22 that the ones who do this or who speak like this, that he will pass through it hard pressed and hungry, and when hungry shall become enraged and curse king and gods. Um, so basically, what they're saying here is that if you do these things, you're gonna end up going hungry. You're gonna have famine in your life, and you're gonna just be so um, desperate that you're gonna say screw the king and screw the gods and excuse me. And he will look upward and will gaze at the earth, but he will see only distress and darkness, oppressive gloom, murky without light. So basically, having the concept here of there will be no help for you, you will be lonely in the dark, and you will curse the you will curse your own gods, you will curse the king, and you'll turn your back on everything because you're so hungry for satisfaction or whatever. Um, that's not exactly how people work. Some people strive with their witchcraft and whatnot. They don't necessarily, like, if things fizzle out with a spell or whatnot, we find other methods, we find other modalities. Witches get shit done. Um, and they don't really address it here that, we are very adaptive people. Um, it's one of those things like, if I lost everything tomorrow, uh, I would be absolutely devastated, um, because I've worked hard and long for the things that I have. Um, but I would still be able to witch my way through it. I would still be able to um, get to that point where, you know what, I can make it work. I can power through this and get through, because as a witch, I'm a very adaptive person. You know what? Okay, uh, my bank account has been uh, completely drained and whatnot. Guess what? I can witch my way through that and find a way to get other money. No big deal. Um, yeah, they take no consideration here that witches do adapt, witches do overcome. Um, there are many successful people who are witchy in some way, shape, or form, or consult individuals who are witchy in some way, shape, or form, and we get shit done. Um, so yeah, there's definitely ways to witch through things, and they give no consideration of that. They seem to have here that the only way that you don't have distress in your life is if you are under God's blessings. This deity of the Old Testament, if you are under their blessing. And does not seem to always have worked out well for the Israelites, as we've seen in just the past, what, three segments of this Witchcraft in the Bible series. Yeah, has not always worked well. They've been enslaved, they've been killed, murdered, and all, and gone killing and murdering, which is against their own laws. And then they have been enslaved again and released and enslaved again, and it's a perpetual cycle. And the only common denominator is this deity that tells them, you know what, you didn't do what I said to do, therefore I turn my back on you, even though they're your chosen people, apparently. Just my hot take. Okay. Yeah. There's to a nice, kind deity that has chosen people, apparently. By chosen people, do you mean the people that you have chosen to screw over? Just a thought. Next is chapter 19, verse 1. Oracle on Egypt. See, the Lord is riding on a swift cloud. On his way to Egypt, the idols of Egypt tremble before him. The hearts of the Egyptians melt within them. I will stir up Egypt against Egypt. Brother will war against brother. Neighbor against neighbor. City against city. Kingdom against kingdom. The courage of the Egyptians shall ebb away within them, and I will bring their counsel to naught. They shall consult idols and charmers, ghosts and clairvoyants. I will deliver Egypt into the power of a cruel master, a harsh king, who shall never rule over them. Oracle of the Lord of hosts. Okay. I have thoughts on this. Of course. This verse doesn't make sense against witchcraft. If anything, it makes this verse only shows a deity that is trying to shoehorn into Egyptian culture. It basically is only saying that this deity is going into Egypt to cause chaos. This deity is going into Egypt, and they're just going to drum up war. And even though Egyptian culture is to consult idols, charmers, ghosts, and clairvoyants, he's still going to rule over them. And it even says here, I will deliver Egypt into the power of a cruel master. So you're not really helping your case here, Mr. Deity, Mrs. Deity, Deity, your deitiness. You're not really making your case as to why somebody should follow you if you're identifying yourself as a cruel master, or you're having your oracle, who is Isaiah, saying this. Which, by the way, an oracle is the same thing as a diviner. So, just throwing that out there. Excuse me. I have a little... oh, that was my 9 o'clock alarm. Time to go to bed. And I have cappuccino. Don't worry, I have off tomorrow. It's fine. Yeah, I think I might actually indulge in 2 cappuccinos tonight. Just saying. What do you think about that, Jelly? 2 cappuccinos tonight? I think she's down. Anyway. Yeah, you're not really helping your case here. You're only making yourself sound worse, and why would anybody want to follow a deity of... a cruel deity? It doesn't sound like a pleasant experience at all. So yeah, I'm good. Meanwhile, you're going into Egypt, and you're kind of saying, oh, okay, they're gonna consult all these different modalities and whatnot, and I'm just going to be a cruel master anyway. Yeah, you're not making a good case for yourself. So let's move on from there to Isaiah 44, verse 25. And I'm going to take this off because it's getting a little warm in here. I think I feel the fires of hell just lapping at my toes here. Let me just get comfy. Yeah. Anyway, chapter 44, verse 25, and it reads, I bring to naught the omens of babblers, make fools of diviners, turn back the wise, and make their knowledge foolish. Okay. Let me just say that this verse in particular, if you take out the omens of babblers and if you take out omens, babblers, diviners, and That's about it. Um, if you, and maybe even the wise, if you take those out and you add in your own parts, you can actually make this a very good spell. Uh, for instance, I bring to naught the um, let's use a finance type of issue here. I bring to naught the prosperity of X company. Make fools of X company. Turn back X company and make their knowledge foolish. If you want to get back at a company, or you want to take down a certain individual, that is a good little phrase of power for you. So yeah, you know what? I think I might end up doing a series in the future here of different verses here and there that you can use for different parts of spell work. I didn't really think this part through to rhyme here, there, or anywhere, I guess. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of that, because I think that would be fun as hell. You know, the hellfire that is at my feet. So anyway, let's get back to the issue at hand here. I bring not the omens of the babblers, make fools of diviners, turn back the wise and make their knowledge foolish. I have here, this whole chapter is this deity giving their resume, like the entire chapter. Go and read the entire chapter, it's fascinating. This whole chapter is the deity giving their resume, trying to justify why someone should worship them. They laid on a little too thick as well. This particular verse, though, is not entirely accurate. There are omens given by magical practitioners that have come to pass. So we can say that this doesn't hold any water. As for the second part of this verse, I have issues with it. I even wrote that. I have issues with this. Why would you try to make the knowledge of the wise people foolish? I don't think most of the wise people that we meet should be placed on a pedestal, and I will stand by that. You can always find something about someone that will make them seem foolish. This doesn't mean that they don't also have wise things to teach us. There are teachers out there. Um, you know, let me take. I'm going to just use Christopher Penzak because, it was within arm reach. Sorry, Chris. Can I call you Chris? If you're watching this, can I call you Chris? I think I can. Anyway, if I took Christopher Penzak and I put him on this pedestal and whatnot, and I thought he was all great and wonderful and deity-like, and I just idolized him, and I thought he was the wisest person. But then I hear his hologram theory, which, if you're following along with the Witchy Book Club series, I have issues with. I can't wrap my head around it. I can't fathom that as being a plausible type of situation. Could it be true? Absolutely. Um, do I think that he has it wrong? I personally do. Am I going to begrudge somebody that agrees with him? Absolutely not. You know, like I've said before, come to your convictions honestly. I'll back it. But, there is debate to be had there. And it's just not something that's for me. Okay. So, if I put him up on a pedestal, and then I read in the Inner Temple of Witchcraft about this hologram theory, and it's something that really doesn't resonate with me, and I think it's a little too out there for me and whatnot, I can make him sound foolish. Now, do I think there might be a nugget of truth to this theory? Absolutely, there may be. Um, do I necessarily think that it fits into my cosmology and my way of thinking and whatnot? No, for me it doesn't. Um, and I'm picking at one little issue here, but if I tried to make him seem foolish because of that, it might not be something that he subscribes to anymore in his life. That type of thing. Do I make him feel foolish about it? No. Um, could I? I could. Would it make me a dick? Absolutely. Um, so I don't see the point in turning back the wise and making their knowledge foolish. It doesn't make sense. Part of the reason that we have people that are wise individuals is to progress society into a broader way of thinking, to cultivate ideas and to cultivate this mindset of further education and further exploration into ourselves and our stations as human beings. Would I begrudge Christopher Penzak for that? No. Would I stand behind him on, hey, you know what? Your hologram theory, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think people should hear what you have to say. I would be that person. Just me. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's yeah. I think that's a thing that needs to be said there. Because anytime that you are trying to suppress the people who are supposed to be the wise individuals of a community, you hurt that community. Let's move on to chapter 47, verse 8 through 15. So, flipping a couple pages here. Excuse me. Hi, Jelly. I know. You say hi, and you're going to make everybody hear the mic bump? Okay. Can you sit back down? Not bump the mic? I'm sorry about her hitting the mic, but that's just too damn adorable, and I'm not cutting it out because it is adorable as hell. Okay, back down, baby. Back down. On your perch. Okay. 47 verses 8 through 15. Take a drink here. Okay, starting at verse 8. Now hear this, voluptuous one, enthroned securely, saying in your heart, I and no one else, I shall never be a widow, bereft of my children. Both these things shall come to you, suddenly, in a single day. Complete bereavement and widowhood shall come upon you, despite your many sorceries. Come on, mouth. And the full power of your spells. Secure your wickedness, you said. No one sees me. Your wisdom and your knowledge led you astray. And you said in your heart, and I and no one else. Hold on. Gotta make sure I know where I'm going here. But upon you shall come an evil you will not be able to charm away. Upon you shall fall a disaster you cannot ward off. Upon you shall suddenly come a ruin you cannot imagine. Come on with your spells and your sorceries, at which you toiled from your youth. Perhaps you can prevail. Perhaps you can strike terror. You whore yourself out with so many consultations. Let the astrologers stand forth and save you, the stargazers who forecast at each new moon what would happen to you. See, they are like stubble, fire consumes them. They cannot deliver themselves from the spreading flames. This is no warming ember, no fire to sit before. Thus do your wizards serve you, with whom you have toiled from your youth. They wander their separate ways with none to save you. Okay, I have issues with this entire chapter because even the footnote for this chapter is that this is a taunting song. This to me is the equivalent to a schoolyard bully. This is basically a bullying technique towards people of Babylon. Once the Queen of Nations. Here's literally what the footnote says. It goes from verse 1 to 15, so it's the entirety of the chapter. A taunt song mocking Babylon, once queen of the nations, now a mere slave. So, yeah, they are literally just saying, you know, na 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 boo boo, stick your head in doo doo. That's basically what this entire chapter is saying. It is childish, is frivolous, and it is not needed. But let me continue reading from my notes before I go on a tangent here. Not only that, but the first part of this chapter is absolutely disturbing. Um, I'm not going to read it verbatim. You guys can do that. Chapter 47 of Isaiah. It starts with the dethroning of a virgin daughter, making her uncovered, and taking vengeance. Now, it doesn't say what the vengeance would be or what it is, but I really would not like to find out. It doesn't say what their vengeance is, but I really don't want to know what they could possibly mean by having their vengeance or taking their vengeance. I find this disturbing. I find it absolutely repulsive, and I'm not here for it. Yeah, no, I'm not. I want to get as far away from this, this chapter. So instead of that, let's look at the last verse of the book that we need to look at. Um, and I have some explaining to do on this one. It's Isaiah 54, verse 17. Every weapon fashioned against you shall fail. Every tongue that brings you to trial shall prove false. This is the lot of the servants of the Lord, their vindication from me, oracle of the Lord. Okay. I don't know why this first came up. It doesn't really make any sense as to why this is being used as a verse against witchcraft, because it doesn't even mention anything of witchcraft here. So I don't know why this came up in my search. Basically, how I came up with this list, and I'm gonna let you guys behind the curtain a little bit. How I came up with this list was I went on a Google tear. I put witchcraft Bible, boom, and I went through several different websites. I put down common common verses that were mentioned in each site on each site, and then even ones that weren't commonly mentioned between multiple sources and whatnot. And this is one of the verses that came up. I don't know why it came up, but it did. So yeah, not quite understanding why that came up. But anyway, that was all of Isaiah. I was planning on doing some from Jeremiah. I think I'm going to save those for next week's video, just because it keeps those all together in one easy little area. We have 3 spots in Jeremiah, so we will be going through Jeremiah and probably Ezekiel, and maybe we'll also hit up Daniel. So I'm gonna try to do 3 different books next week. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. This is Not as long as the other ones, but I kind of want to do a response video to the individual that commented on my last week's video. So yeah, I think I might get off of here and do a a rebuttal argument, I guess. I don't know. I don't know exactly what you would call it. I call it shots fired, but you know, hey, yeah, we're just gonna leave it there. If you want to check that one out, I'm probably going to upload it so it comes live on Sunday as well. So you might be seeing that one directly after this one. So do stay tuned on that because I think it's gonna be kind of fun. We're gonna go to Takedown Theater. So anyway, with that being said, I do look forward to hearing what you guys have to say, as long as if it's respectful and whatnot. You know how I do. In the meantime, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It should be right around there. Go into the comment section. Tell me if you agree, disagree. General discourse is allowed. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what we agree, what we don't agree about, and we can have a civil discussion. As long as if it's respectful. You know how I do. Also, if you like these videos, go ahead and hit the like button and share them around if that's something that's comfortable for you to do. Hitting like appeases the algorithmic gods of YouTube. All hail the algorithmic gods of YouTube. And do join me on Tuesday for the Tarot Talk Tuesday. We are going and looking at the I was going to say Eight of Swords. Wow. The Queen of Swords. Oh, I'm not a fan of this queen. But we are doing it. We are looking at the Queen of Swords, and we're going to nitpick at that. On Witchy Wednesday, we are continuing with the throat chakra, which apparently I need to do some work on because I can't stay on track right now. And on Thursday, join me for Table Talk Thursday. And then on Saturday, I still don't have the stinking book in here. It's still out in my case. Join me for our Witchy Book Club series as we start with Chapter 1 of The Outer Temple of Witchcraft by Christopher Penzak. Voted in by all y'all. So, anyway, until the next video, we're gonna do a little takedown theater. May you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye bye.